Tadparam Bharyaya Vidmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guruh Prachodayate Om. Om Yoga Maharishi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Vanakkam, swagatam, vandanam. Bonjour, buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte. Such a pleasure to be with all of you again. Scintillating Saturdays, and we are into week 45. 5 cycles of 9. I have been blessed in this past week to be with 2 people who are keeping these sessions going throughout the lockdown. And a couple of days ago, we celebrated 365 days of sharing and caring by my dear Vallananda Joyce in Alberta. What an achievement. 365 days of non-stop sharing and caring. And this morning, I was there for the final session of the 11th month of non-stop sharing by my dear Udayji in Pune. What amazing energy we are creating during this most difficult time of humanity. When humanity is being challenged so deeply at all levels of existence and right to the core, to have my dear ones like Vallananda Joyce, Udayji, sharing and caring with so many. I think it is just so beautiful to see how the seeds of yoga are sprouting and growing into the magnificent trees that are blessing so many. Today, we have the topic of Garuda Asana, translated as the eagle pose, eagle posture, and to borrow the term from my dear Georg Fierstein, it would be the eagle poise. Because asana goes from doing to being. Pose becomes posture, becomes poise, where you are poised in that state of the asana itself. Normally the term Garuda is translated as eagle, but what I have realized is also there is a huge bird called a kite, K-I-T-E, not the one that we kids play with, and in some parts of India they put glass powder on it to cut other people's kite strings. Not that kite, flying a kite, but the kite, which is this huge bird. And here we have a specific type of eagle kite which has the white collar, and the moment here we see one of them in the sky, everybody's like, oh, Garuda is there, get the blessings, and they'll do all sort of ritualistic patterns that are there to worship and acknowledge the blessing of witnessing Garuda himself in the sky. So one understanding of Garuda is a big bird, huge wings. Suparna is one of the names of Garuda in our culture. Suparna, which means a bird which has huge wings. And I would think about, what about the albatross, with its huge wingspan? So let's not just limit it to eagle, kite. Think of this huge bird, huge wings that can fly through any obstacle and fly above any obstacle. It is said while other birds try to find a place of shelter in the storm, The eagle flies above the storm, transcends the storm. Stormatita. Atita means to go beyond. Stormatita. Go beyond it. Guna atita, deha atita, kala atita, vritti atita. The eagle transcends the challenge by going above it, growing bigger than the challenge, rather than trying to hide from the challenge. What a beautiful metaphor of what we can be. As my father would so beautifully say, you don't solve your problems, you outgrow them. You don't solve your problems, you outgrow them. And that is the message that Garuda gives us, that we outgrow the problems rather than trying to just solve them. Solving them is like going and taking each thorn out of the path. Solving it is wearing a nice pair of shoes and just walking through the forest without any worry about the thorns anymore. Thornatita. Kantakadishu. Kantakatita. The message is, don't limit yourself. When you limit yourself, the problem will be a mountain. When you grow, that mountainous problem will become a molehill. This is why I like to often repeat that yoga is the science of making molehills out of mountains. You convert the mountain into a molehill. That is the yoga drishti, the yogic perspective, where you grow so big, you take on a Vishwarupa. It is said Garuda has the capacity to take on a Vishwarupa. Garuda is one of the most powerful superheroes of our Indian culture. Along with Hanumanji, Garuda and Hanuman, these two are the original superheroes of Indian culture. What an amazing capacity! What an amazing capacity! To become so big, your problems become tiny in front of you. Vishwa Rupa. You take on the Rupa, the form of the universe itself. Vishwa Rupa Darshanam, it is said. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he at one point gives the Vishwa Rupa Darshana to Lord Arjuna. And Arjuna gets frightened. He said, Yaba, please Krishna, this is too much for me. I'm scared. Please come back to that personal form that I can deal with. It is so expansive. One of the siddhis is Mahima, to become so huge as huge itself. Garuda has that capacity. A little bit about Garuda. Garuda is depicted one as this huge eagle, kite, albatross, with this huge wingspan. And even when faced with storms and faced with water and faced with fire, all the five elements, Garuda, by flapping his wings, can overcome all the five elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, because he has attained what Maharishi Patanjali calls Bhuta Jaya. And same thing with Hanumanji. That's why I say Garuda and Hanuman are the two original superheroes. They have mastered all the five elements: earth, water, fire, air and ether. Prithvi, up or Jala, Tejas or Agni, Vayu and Akasha. So they have attained what Maharishi Patanjali calls Bhuta Jaya, where immediately the Ashta Siddhis, Animadi, Pradurbhavo, they will all start to manifest. All the Siddhis start to manifest, and at that point, you actually attain to what is called Kaya Sampat, perfection of the bodily form. Rupa Lavanya Bala Vajra Samhana Natvani Kaya Sampat, says Maharishi Patanjali. Because now you have outgrown the the 5 elements. So the 5 elements cannot take you back anymore. When we die, the elements take us back to the original elemental source. You have outgrown them. You have become indestructible. That is why Hanumanji and Garudaji, they are the immortals. They cannot be destroyed. They have outgrown the 5 elements. They have outgrown all these elements, and that is why they have that Kaya Sampat. Garuda is also shown more as an anthropomorphic human figure with a beak nose, which is typical of the Vaishnava Brahmins. You find a lot of them with that typical Garuda nose. It's very interesting. And having his hands in Namaskar Mudra with the wings, and sometimes shown carrying a pot of nectar, the nectar of immortality, Amrita. Now it is said, first of all, the concept of Garuda goes all the way back into the Vedas. Vedic literature has Garuda. And the Vedic literature, one of the hymns, tell us that it's from the Rig Veda. And this hymn, which is found in Rig Veda, the oldest literature of humanity, Rig Veda, oldest literature of humanity, I'm not even calling it a book, oldest literature of humanity, as well as the Upanishads that come later, Mandukya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Prasna Upanishad, they have a hymn, a very common hymn that we often repeat for wellness, Swast. And it goes, Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabir Yajatra Stirai Rangai Tushtuvaghum Shashtano Bihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vrittashvavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti na Taksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspadir Dadatu Om Shanti 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 Om. In that, Swastina Taksha refers to Garuda, who protects us in a benevolent embrace, encircles us in a protective embrace. It's as if Garuda is with you and holding you close with his wings, covering you on all directions. The wings of Garuda protecting you from all danger. What a beautiful mental image is created. Swastina Taksho Arishtanemihi, protecting us from all dangers. So, Garuda as Taksha is found in the Vedic literature. So, as old as the Vedas. This is not a new invention. Another name I told you is Suparna, huge wings. Sometimes he is also called Suvarna Paksha. Suvarna Paksha, which means the golden winged bird. Golden wings. In fact, a Gayatri mantra for Garuda goes like this. Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Suvarna Pakshaya Dhimahe Tanno Garuda Prachodayate Om. Suvarna Paksha. So, Suvarna Paksha, the golden winged bird. Now it is said that Garuda is born to one of the great Sapta Rishis, Kashyapa Maharishi. Kashyapa is one of the Maharishis of our culture called the Sapta Rishis, the 7 great Rishis. And Kashyapa is found again and again in our Vedic literature. And Kashyapa is also continued down through the lineages in Indian culture even till today. It's called the Kashyapa Gotra. Gotra is the family line. Bharadwaja Gotra, Kashyapa Gotra, you find this. Kashyapa Maharishi is said to have been married to There are different versions. The daughters of Prajapati Daksha, the original Daksha. And in that, one of the daughters is called Vinata. Vinata. And Kashyapa and Vinata, their son is Garuda. He also had a co-brother called Aruna, who is the charioteer of the sun. That is why we have the Aruna Surya Namaskar. So, you find the concept of Vinata Sutta. Sutta means a son. So, Garuda mentioned by his mother. People nowadays talk about equality and why you only talk about the father and not the mother. There's a lot of this type of thing. Our Vedic culture has talked about these great superheroes. When we talk about Hanumanji, we say Anjana Putra. We refer to his mother's son. Same thing here. He is called Vainatheya. Vainatheya, which means the son of Vinata. So it is Vinata Sutta. What a beautiful tribute to the mothers, the great mothers who have given us these superheroes. And there's a beautiful composition by Saint Tyagaraja, where in the Raga Jayantasena he talks about this. It's talking about Lord Vishnu because Garuda is the Vahana of Vishnu. I'll come to that little later. So he says, Vinata Sutta Vahana Shri Ramana Vinata Sutta Vahana. That you have to be careful, otherwise you split it as Va and Hana. It's Vahana. Vinata Sutta Vahana Shri Ramana Vinata Sutta Vahana Shri Ramana Vinata Sutta Vahana Shri Ramana. O Ramana, O Lord Vishnu, you who are riding on Vinata Sutta, the son of Vinata. And there are beautiful stories that Vinata is made a slave by her co-sister, who is also Kashyapa's wife. And her co-sister has thousands of sons who are Nagas, the snakes. And so this is where the enmity starts between Garuda and the snakes. It goes back a long way. And a lot of stories that in order to relieve his mother and himself out of bondage because of losing a false bet, he has to get the Amrita from the heavens. And he defeats all the gods on his way to getting the heavenly immortal nectar, Amrita, to give it to the snakes, because the snakes say, you give us that Amrita, we will let your mother and you go free, out of bondage. So he gives it to them. By the time they have it, Indra again steals it. We have all these loopholes in Indian stories. But by then, Garuda has done his part of the duty. His agreement was to bring the nectar. He brought the nectar. After that, if Indra takes it, it's not Garuda's fault. Okay. So this type of story is that the Amrita, how he gets the Amrita. So he's shown with the Amrita or, with Namaskar Mudra. Now he becomes the Vahana, the vehicle for Lord Vishnu. Let us try to understand this connection between Garuda and Vishnu. Vishnu is the energy of preservation, conservation and maintenance, sustenance. Remember, Brahma is the energy of creation, Shiva is the energy of dissolution, transformation. In between you have Vishnu, which is the energy of sustenance, continuation, maintenance. I like to say he is the maintenance engineer. He keeps everything going. And it needs a lot of money, so he has Lakshmi in his heart. Shri Nivasa. He is always having Shri, that is Lakshmi, the auspicious Lakshmi in his heart. Now, the energy of preservation percolates throughout the whole universe. So Vishnu, one of the meanings is that energy that percolates everywhere, that is found everywhere, that moves everywhere. And sometimes they say Vishnu who moves with giant strides. That is the type of description you find. Shanno mitra shanvarunah shanno bhavatvaryamam shanna indro brihaspatihi shanno vishnur urukramaha. Vishnu who's moving with giant strides. Another Vedic maintenance engineer concept. He is moving with giant strides. He's keeping everything moving. The wheels have to be kept moving. That is the job of Vishnu. Now, when you want to keep everything moving, there are going to be these obstacles coming up. So, how can Vishnu do what he needs to do if he doesn't have a vehicle? The crows are saying, why you are talking about eagles, talk about crows. Kaka Bhushandi. Hey, Kaka Bhushandi, you have brought a team today. A parliament of crows, they call them. No wonder our parliaments are like the way they are. Parliament. I think parliament of crows and parliament of baboons, I think these are the two terms you find. Very apt. Okay, they have done their part of today's lecture. Vishnu is the energy of sustenance, keeping everything going. He has to keep everything going. There will be obstacles to it. So whenever there is an obstacle, you need a vehicle for the energy to move. The Vahana is the way the energy moves, and that is the energy of Garuda, which is capable of overcoming all the obstacles that come from all the 5 elements. Remember Pancha Mahabhuta, Bhuta Jaya is Garuda. The energy of Garuda is an energy that can go beyond the obstacles created by the manifest elements of nature. And through that vehicle, the energy of preservation, conservation, maintenance can then work seamlessly. What a beautiful way this is brought together. It's not, oh, Vishnu needed a huge eagle because it looks good. Vishnu needs an eagle because he has to fly high. Because from there he has to throw his, chakra to cut off the neck of the crocodile that's holding the leg of Gajendra, the elephant, Gajendra Moksham. There's a beautiful concept of that elephant, Gajendra, being held by the crocodile and praying to Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu comes at that point, riding on Garuda. See, these are energies that Indian culture understood. The energy of conservation needs a vehicle for it to manifest. How can you manifest that energy? You need a vehicle, and that vehicle is the vehicle that is like the eagle. It moves like the eagle, overcoming all obstacles, transcending all the obstacles, enabling everything to be sustained, maintained, and nourished as it should be. That is the energy of Vishnu coming through it. Another name for Vishnu is Narayana. Nara, Nari. Nara, Nari, that is the human beings. Narayana is that form of the divine who incarnates in human form. So that aspect of divinity that incarnates in human form is Narayana, and the vehicle for that incarnation is also the Garuda, because the Garuda refers to the capacity to harness the energies, and these energies are the serpentine energies. The serpentine energies. The Sushumna down the center, Ida on the left and Pingala on the right. Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, Nadi. The 3 most important nadis of the 72,000 or 729,000 nadis. These are the nadis that are enabling us as a human being to manifest, sustain, nourish, and keep everything going. The Ida, Pingala, Sushumna keep everything going with every breath. Because you may be breathing through the right nostril, Surya Nadi, that is the Pingala Swara. Left nostril, Ida Swara. And if both are balanced, it is Sushumna Swara. And every couple of hours in the day, the Swaras are changing in us. The Swaras are changing. Pingala Swara, Ida Swara, Sushumna Swara. And in the Pingala Swara, you do all the activities that have to be done. Dynamism. In the Ida Swara, you cool down and relax. And when the Sushumna is open, both channels are flowing equally in both nostrils. The Sushumna Swara, it is the best time for contemplation, meditation, so that the energy, the beautiful energy of the Kanda, can then be nourished and taken up. Kundali Yadanil Kudiya Ajabai Vindel Mandiram Velipada Uraitu Mooladharat Moondal Kanalai Kalal Yerupum Kartaribit. Through the breath, the energy of the Kundalini that is stored in the Mooladhara as a dormant potential energy is brought up through the Sushumna. The Sushumna is the central royal road. It is the royal road through which the energy has to flow upward. It's a unipolar energy. So the energies that are manifesting in us, Ida Pingala Sushumna, those energies have to be harmonized, and that is where the energy of Garuda as a Vahana comes into us, so that the energy of nourishment and maintenance, sustenance of Vishnu, Narayana, can manifest through us. And we become then, we move from Nara to Narayana. We move from mortality to immortality. And this is why there is a beautiful Vedic mantra, Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya. If you look at that Gamana, that word is there. This Gamana means to move. Gamana is to move. And again, so many compositions. You have compositions by, for example, Pattanam Subramani Iyer. Pattanam Subramani Iyer, so beautifully, he brings this out. Garuda Gamana Samayamidhe Karuna Joda Garuda Gamana Samayamidhe. This is the time for your Karuna Joda, for you to give me your compassion. Garuda Gamana. O Garuda Gamana, O Vishnu who is moving through the energy of Garuda. What a beautiful Garuda Gamana Raha Nanuni Karuna Joda. Bhadrachala Ramadasa, another great composer, he also sings Garuda Gamana. Garuda Gamana. How are you moving? How is the energy of Vishnu moving? How is it traveling? How is it manifesting? How is it putting into action what needs to be done? Through the Vahana of Garuda. Now that Garuda is also putting into action in us the sustenance. How you are sustaining this physical body, the Annamaya Kosha. How are you sustaining the Pranamaya Kosha? How are you sustaining the Manomaya Kosha? How are you sustaining the Vijnanamaya Kosha? And how are you sustaining the Anandamaya Kosha? How are you nourishing the Koshas? The energy that flows through it, the Prana Shakti that is flowing through it, has to move. And for that, it has to move through these nadis. Ida Pingala Sushumna. And these are depicted as serpents that are moving in a coiled manner. For example, at Mooladhara, you have what is called Yukta Triveni, where the three energies come together. Yukta, they come together. Y-U-K-T-A. Yukta means to conjoin, to join. Yukta. You are bringing the energy that are coming together at Mooladhara. It's called Yukta Triveni because Ida Pingala Sushumna are coming together. The Sushumna continues down the center, the royal road, the red carpet for Kundalini to move from the Mooladhara to Sahasrara, where then Shakti and Shiva become one in the Brahmaranta. The first part is where these energies come together. Where do they come together? Mooladhara. Then again the serpents entwine. The second, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha. And at Ajna, they start to diverge. And they go their own path. They separate. Mukta Triveni. They are liberated, they can go their own path. Yukta Triveni is where the energies come together at the Mooladhara. Mukta Triveni is at the Ajna where the energies can go apart. And the left flow goes to the left, right goes to the right. And the center continues down the center. This type of flow is there. Now this is the same type of flow that is right down in our genomics, our DNA structure. The double helical DNA structure postulated by Watson and Crick. And if you look at that structure, it is the same. And this structure goes back into ancient times where the Kaudaikis, which is the symbol of healing, was part of this energy. What a beautiful energy is being depicted. Now the yogis said this is all beautiful. How do we put it into practice? Because yoga is a practical philosophy. Yoga is a practical psychology. Yoga is a practical spirituality. So they said, how do we put this metaphysical into the physical? And so they said, Garudasana. Garudasana was created or discovered by the yogis as a means for the soma, the body, to be put into a certain position to influence the psyche. Somato psychic simulation techniques. The yogis were the first to do that. Somato psychic simulation techniques. You are simulating an experience in the higher by using the lower. What do you have? You have the body. So you have the body, you put your body into certain positions and it creates certain effects in the mind and above. As above, so below. As below, so above. So you cannot influence the above. What do? Use the below. You have the body. You have the soma. Use the soma to influence the psyche. And this is why all yoga techniques are somato-psychic in mechanism. The mechanism of yoga techniques is somato-psychic. You are using the body to influence the subtle. You are using the gross to influence the subtle. And the benefits of yoga are psychosomatic. So the mechanisms are somato-psychic. You use the body to influence the mind and above, and the benefits then come down like the rain shower, psychosomatic. We had a beautiful rain last night here. Rain is a blessing. It's like the water cycle. The water evaporates from the water bodies and goes up, and then it comes down as rain. So the going up part, somato-psychic, is what you can do. These are the simulation techniques. You are putting yourself into a position that can simulate the experience that you desire to manifest. So they said, what do we do? Well, see, if they were going to look like an eagle, they would have put the hands out. Think about it. The modern yoga asanas that are created, the modern yoga asanas that are created, you have flamingo poses and all, and with the arms out. They didn't put the arms out. We do a variation on that, one-legged, with the arms flapping for the kids on the beach. Fun yoga, play yoga, just to, get the kids to enjoy it. The Garudasana twists you. Your arms are twisted. Your arms are twisted. Why are you twisted? You are trying to replicate the way the energies are twisted. You are replicating physically the twist of your very DNA helix and the twist of the energies of Ida Pingala and Sushumna. You are twisting the arms, the upper limb. You are twisting the legs, the lower limb. so that the whole body goes into a twist. There is a twist of the lower extremity, there is a twist of the upper extremity. And in this type of twist, what you are doing, you are putting yourself into as close a position physically as your whole DNA structure and the energy. DNA is the physical structure. The energy is the metaphysical structure. Or the Ida Pingala Sushumna is the metaphysical structure. The physical is your DNA helix. You are putting yourself into that. You are twisting yourself. So what are you doing? You are saying, I am aware of these energies that are in this pattern, the dance of the energies. I am becoming aware of this. And then when you come out of the asana, what are you doing? You are breaking through these patterns. Everybody thinks that the benefit of the asana is while you are doing the asana. Most of the time, the benefit of the asana is when you come out of the asana. We have made a big mistake in yoga research because we keep on researching the effect of asana while they are doing it. You should check the effect after the asana has been done, because the effect of most of the practices is after they have been done, not while they are being done. It is the Shpanda Nishpanda concept that has to be understood. You do the asana and then you go into a state of being where you have that experience that has come out of the asana, and in that moment of letting go is where actually the benefits start to come in. It is in the relaxation that the benefit of the practice actually comes. So you have twisted yourself. When you let go of the twist, you are saying, I am letting go of all my conditioned patterns of behavior. My genetic behavior, my conditioning due to my genetics. The conditioning that may be due to my social twists. All that is tying you up. You are untying yourself. You are putting yourself into bondage to liberate yourself. You are going into Shpanda to create Nishpanda. And you are acknowledging. When you go into the Garudasana, you are acknowledging these patterns. The samskara vasana patterns are being acknowledged. The genetic patterns are being acknowledged. The energy patterns are being acknowledged. And then you are coming away from it. You are saying, I acknowledge it and I want to release it. Without acknowledging it, you cannot deal with it. In the state of denial, you cannot transform yourself. It is only in the state of acknowledgement and acceptance that then transformation can start to happen. And when you do this, everybody is focused on the physical and physiological benefits. Yes, you are going to twist your whole musculoskeletal system. It is an excellent practice for the whole musculoskeletal system. I've included it in my Yoga for Spinal Health DVD. Yes. It will enhance your musculoskeletal health for sure. The whole upper limb is being twisted. The whole lower limb is being twisted. So yes, musculoskeletal health. The fascia, which is the big key thing these days. Sri Devi in Switzerland keeps reminding us of it. This is this collagen tissue that is like your cellophane cover, covering every part of you externally and internally. And every part of the cellophane cover, collagen cover, is interconnected. What I do with my little finger affects the rest of me. What I do with my toe affects the rest of me. What I do with my nose affects the rest of me. No wonder yoga is the best way to create a flexible fascia. No doubt, because every part of us is being used in yoga. Used in the right way, right useness. Not misused, not abused, and not disused. Every part of the body we start to explore in the asanas. Every part of the breath we explore in the asanas. In the pranayamas, the breath is explored, the energy is explored, and every part of the mind is explored in the contemplation. So yes, musculo-physical, amazing flexibility, amazing release, and the release of trauma. Acknowledging the trauma and releasing it. acknowledging the trauma and releasing it. Garudasana is a release. Now when you do this, your whole circulatory system, especially the lymphatics, are going to be worked on. Because the lymphatics, they don't have their own pump. Your arteries are pumped through the heart. The veins, the muscles help. The lymphatics, these poor guys, they have no support system except gravity. And what are you doing? You are using gravity. You are using your own body posture to help facilitate lymphatic drainage. The upper limb, lower limb lymphatic drainage is being facilitated. Now when you do this, it is called the Garuda Hasta Mudra. The Garuda Hasta is the hand gesture. When you do the leg, it is called Garuda Pada Mudra. And the leg gesture can be done in Sarvangasana and Shirasasana also, where you are upside down and you twist your legs, entwine your legs. Now imagine the lymphatic drainage created when you do the Garuda Pada Mudra upside down. The lymphatic drainage you are facilitating. When you do this, and we have the system at the heart, at the throat, at the face, and then going all the way up. What you are doing is, you are using different levels, again musculoskeletal release as well as the lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic drainage is being facilitated, musculoskeletal release is being facilitated. The whole spine is being given a beautiful stretch, a stretch of the spine, so that the compression of your discs will not be there. When you are doing these asanas, it is very important to be hydrated. Subclinical dehydration is a major issue, where our tissues get dehydrated, our cells get dehydrated. And what happens is, one of the maximum affected areas is your vertebral column and the intervertebral discs. They get dehydrated and then your whole spinal health goes out. So when you are doing this type of, it's like a self-traction of your whole spine. Please make sure you are well hydrated. We talked about fascia. Hydration is a key there also. Such a beautiful way for us to stretch ourselves, not strain. Stretch, don't strain. That is the message Garudasana is giving us. What a beautiful, there's physical benefit, musculoskeletal, physiological, the lymphatic system, the stretching of the self-traction of the intervertebral disc spaces. The disc space should be enhanced, and if you're hydrated, the disc will then sort of come into its normal space and your spinal health starts to be aligned. If your spine is well aligned and if the spinal health is there, the energy flows that are there are going to be good. So the energies, the nerve energies going from the peripheries to the brain, the sensory impulses from the peripheries to the brain will go without any distortion. And the motor impulses coming from the brain to the body will also come down without distortion. So sensory motor processing will be enhanced. This is the neurological benefits that are happening. When you crisscross like this, what you are doing is you are crisscrossing the right and left brains. You are starting to enable the right brain to connect to the left and the left to connect to the right, so that you start to become a balanced personality. You are not caught in quantity or quality. You have started to balance quantity and quality in your life. The Lakshmi and Saraswati are being balanced in your life. The right and left brain. Left brain is Lakshmi, right brain is Saraswati. The right hand, right leg, the right side of the body, left brain, left side of the body, right brain, and you are crisscrossing it, you are crisscrossing the energies, creating a beautiful loop of communication between the right and left brains, becoming an all-round balanced personality, a Purna Purusha, a complete holistic human being. Wholesomeness is becoming your nature. Purna Purusha you are becoming. Now, as if this is not enough, remember I talked about the nadis, I talked about the chakras. These chakric energies, you are starting to connect to them by the Garudasana also. The lower limb twisting, being tied up, is starting to create a very healthy pressure, a healthy sense of focus on the lower centers, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana and up to Manipura. The beautiful entwining of the lower limb. Remember Maharishi Patanjali, lower limb serpent? When you put your legs in this twist, it looks like you look like Patanjali, okay? You have that serpentine look in the lower limb. The lower limb starts to look like a serpent. You don't look like a human being anymore. It's beautiful. You look at a nicely performed Garudasana where the legs have been twisted. Yeah, you see the hip and then it sort of tapers down to the tail. You start to have that lower energy. What is happening? The Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura are starting to get connected here. Then you can bring the hand down. Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna, and you go up into the Sahasrara, and in the Sahasrara you're opening up to all the 6 higher centers. Sahasrara, Narayanana, Brahmananda, the Trikuti, the Muktana, the Swaminana, all of these are being opened up. All of these are being opened up. You are starting to work with the energies of the chakras themselves. Because what you are doing is you are starting to compress your energies which are normally scattered. You look at most people how they are sitting. Legs apart, hands apart, they're falling apart. What are you doing in Garudasana? You're bringing it all together. You're tying it all together. You are bringing it all together. And when you bring it all together this way, what is happening? The energy can start to be focused into one point, and that one point can become a one straight line. You want the energy, the focus at one point to then move in one straight line. A line is a moving point. And you are starting to create that. When the yogis created or discovered these practices were the outcoming, the manifestation, the phala, the fruit of intense sadhana that was trying to harmonize these energies. The yogis were saying, these are these energies. How can I help other people to work with this? The yogis believed in sharing and caring, not in copyright and trademark and me only. They wanted to create postures that could simulate these experiences. Physical experiences, physiological experiences, psychological experiences, spiritual experiences that would enable the Nara to become Narayana. Nara, the human being, has to become Narayana, the divine. And what is the vehicle that can manifest it? Garuda. And yes, Shakti, Garudasana will also work on the Varma points. Absolutely yes. Because all these Marma are having a sthana, they are having a point. We work on that in Marmana Sthanam Kriya in our tradition, where we work on the 22-point relaxation. There are other traditions that look at 60, 61, 62, 63 points also, like the Himalayan tradition also. These points are all going to be worked on. And Gurulin, yes, when you are working with people who have lymphedema, you have to modify it. What I often say is, some of us, we find it difficult to twist. So I say, very simple. All you have to do is interlink your fingers. Interlink your fingers and do this. Now, you have got something similar. It is not the same. I'm not saying this is Garudasana. But what I'm saying is you can have a similar experience. You can start to give the person an experience of it and then help them grow into the actual practice. We are becoming aware of these energies that are crisscrossing. We are becoming aware of the connection we have with the universe. And that is why the Garuda, which is the Vahana, the vehicle for Lord Vishnu Narayana, as Garudasana can become a vehicle for us to again become aware of our own innate divinity, our own innate universality. That is where the Somato psychic simulation of the yoga practice comes in. Garuda is actually not just limited to India. All the Asian countries, even China and Japan, have concepts of it. Indonesia, it is very strong. Even, the airlines, Indonesian airlines, is Garuda Indonesia. What a beautiful aspect that is found in all the cultures. You find it in Sri Lanka, you find it in Myanmar, you find it in Bali. It is quite amazing how Garuda really has become such a deep aspect of all these Pan-Asian cultures. All of them one at one time, okay? Now we have geographical boundaries. All geographical boundaries, not just geographical, all boundaries are human created. And most of the time it has been man created because we men have made a mess of the world. Give women a chance to lead the world and they'll do a better job. Look at countries ruled by women and much better off, seriously. All these boundaries are man-made. We humans have divided. You look different than me. Your nose is different than me. Your eyes are different than me. The old cultures have always understood commonality. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. The whole world is one family. Yadum, Mure, Yavaram, Kelir, says the ancient Tamil literature. That has been the understanding that we are one family, one global family. We are one ultimately. And that is why when we practice these practices, these are not just, this will give you a yoga butt and it will tone up, the cellulite in your thighs. And, your under armpits will smell better. Sorry about that. A bit of gangster has to come through. Let's do the eagle. When you do the eagle, none of this is brought into your consciousness at all. Jada yoga, dead body yoga, do the eagle. And then somebody's like, no eagle looks like this. Yeah, no eagle looks like that because it was not meant to be called an eagle. Tad purushaya vidmahe suvarna pakshaya dhimahe tanno Garuda prajotaya. What amazing concepts lie in these practices. All of this is being invoked when we practice Garuda Asana. So important to retain the identity of these practices. The moment we try to strip the practice of its original identity, what we are doing is we are killing it. It becomes Jada yoga, dead body yoga, plasticized Barbie doll yoga. And yes, Dr. Meena, Garuda is having the capacity to remove all the poisons of the body, all the toxins. So it is a posture that is a detox. Everybody loves this term nowadays, detox. What an amazing aspect. The detoxification, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual detoxification through Garudasana. You are releasing it. You are understanding the toxin and letting go. Because the poison is also your samskara vasana. Your habitual patterns, your conditioning is a poison that is killing you slowly. And yes, Neeru, I think, bringing in these type of Gayatri mantras, bringing a bit of this awareness of what is Garuda is so important. Garuda Gamana. What is that Gamana of Garuda? What is the movement of Garuda? What is that metaphor of Garuda? Having that huge wings that can protect us, that can overcome the obstacles coming from all the 5 Mahabhutas, helping us to move into Kaya Sampat. What a beautiful concept. And yes, the Garuda Mudra, the Hasta Mudra, the Garuda Pada Mudra is so important. And the Garuda Asana itself, when both the mudras are put together. And I cannot tell you what an amazing sense of balance this asana requires. And you put in a little bit of balance and you get an amazing amount of balance. Harmonious balance that manifests out of this asana. Let us understand that all of these practices are based on a certain culture. And awareness and appreciation of this culture is a must if one is to explore the multidimensionality of what yoga truly is. Stripping the culture away. It's plastic. It's not gold anymore. It's not platinum. It's not platinum. It's not gold. It's not diamonds anymore. It's plastic. And so important. Yes, Shakti, it will work on all the Varma points. Yes. It's like a self-acupressure and not puncture, but acupressure. And Garuda Purana, Brahmananji. Garuda has an Upanishad, he has a Purana also. And everybody wants to know of Garuda Purana because it is said that it gives all the punishments you get in hell for all the bad things you do on earth. It is said Garuda Purana is the teachings Garuda has learned from Lord Vishnu. Remember, he is the Vahana of Vishnu. So he gets all these teachings of Vishnu and then he recites it to his father Kashyapa Maharishi and then it is spread. So the Garuda Purana, everybody focuses on the Preta Kanda, which talks about what happens to the spirit after you die. And, if you do this, you will be put in boiling water. It all sounds like, hell and all. But actually, Garuda Purana is an encyclopedia of culture. It has gemology. It talks about the importance of gems. It talks about the pranas, the nadis, it talks about the mahabhutas, prana, apana, samana, the naga, kurma. All of this is brought into it. It talks about the way the body is made. What is the hair composed of? How many hairs you have? It talks of the type of living beings. The 8.4 million living beings that then become the 8.4 million asanas. It is found in the Garuda Purana. It is a treasure trove of cultural knowledge. It's an encyclopedic text. And huge aspects of all the pranas. In fact, it is said Garuda is related to the Pancha Prana because of it, because of the breath. They're flying, they're learning to fly with the wind is the metaphor that you need to get with Garuda. Flying with the wind. And what is the internal winds? All the prana vayus. So yes, the Garuda Purana is an amazing scripture. It became very popular in India with a movie called Anniyan, where they have sort of brought out that Preta Kanda and everybody got caught up with it. But that is only one concept. And often after somebody dies, the Panditji or that family may come and recite the Garuda Purana during the succeeding 2 weeks after the death, before the purification rituals are done, the Shuddhi is done. So the Garuda Purana is brought in there, but it is an amazing encyclopedic text and you can find everything under the sun in it. It's an amazing teaching. I think we have gone long enough today. It's an 1 hour session today. I try to keep it 45 minutes. But there's just so much to share on these concepts. I thank my Team 52 and everyone who has brought this out today, because of the questions in Team 52, step by step. I was motivated to share this today. And Neeta, is Garudasana practiced many times or included? You can do both. It depends on, if you want a sadhana to be this practice, you could take it and work on it daily. Or it could be included in your standing postures. My father brings it into one of the lessons in the third module of yoga step by step, which is what we are working on. Thank you everyone for being with me today. Thank you for being there on the other side of the screen. When you are on the other side of the screen, I am motivated to share, and sharing is caring. Let us all support each other, especially at these times that are so challenging. Dhanyavadaha. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om. Thank you, Dhanyavadaha, Nandri, Mercy, Danke, Vanakkam.